From a surprise announcement from Kings Island, Snoopy's Soapbox Racers will be the park's newest coaster, not the rumored Vortex replacement. However, this coaster was surprisingly a Vekoma coaster. So with Cedar Fair now working with Vekoma, and Vekoma finally building bigger coasters in the States, like Big Bear Mountain, and the rumored Super Boomerang headed to Six Flags Great Adventure, what could this mean for Cedar Fair and Kings Island? Here are my predictions on Kings Island's next coaster and the future of Cedar Fair. Since 2016, Vekoma has been building new thrill coasters. They introduced the Family Boomerang in 2011, and Formula was their first launch coaster built in 2016. Since then, they've introduced many new models like the Bermuda Blitz, the Wildcat, the Top Gun, and the Firestorm, all of which are raved about by those who've ridden them. However, these coasters were exclusive to Europe and Asia. Vekoma has made significant leaps since their older SLCs and Boomerangs, which are regarded as some of the worst coasters in the world. Finally, in 2023, Vekoma introduced their first launch coaster in the States, Big Bear Mountain. And while a family coaster, it shows their willingness to build in America. Continuing this trend was Holiday World announcing Good Gravy, the first family boomerang in the States. Then comes the topic of this video, Kings Island, which recently announced Snoopy's Soapbox Racers. This is the first coaster that Cedar Fair has bought from Vekoma in decades, and finally we might have clues on future investments in the chain, especially Kings Island's next coaster. Let's first start off with the other possible additions though. A trend currently going on in the coaster world with SLCs and boomerangs is updated trains. Currently, the Cedar Fair chain operates one boomerang at Worlds of Fun and two SLCs, one at Michigan's Adventure and the other at Canada's Wonderland. Could these rough coasters be getting new trains? I believe so. Flight Deck at Canada's Wonderland is regarded as one of the worst SLCs, and the other two coasters mentioned are also pretty bad. Updating these trains to newer vest trains, or maybe even lap bar only trains for the boomerang would be appreciated by guests. This would eliminate most pain from the experience. However, Vekoma also makes a couple of flat rides. Cedar Fair recently has been diving into theming. Most of their newer additions have been themed, with the surrounding areas also being updated. Take Orion at Kings Island, or even the newly announced Iron Menace at Dorney Park. These upgraded areas have worked wonders for the parks, making the worst areas in the park some of the best, and getting guests coming back to these areas. Vekoma's flat rides are very theming heavy. Take the Madhouse or Flying Theater, common at European parks. These are dark rides with super themed interiors. Take a look at some of these videos. Parks like Cedar Point, Dorney Park, or other parks without dark rides in the chain could benefit greatly from these types of rides, especially Cedar Point, as they have the Arcade Coliseum which could fit one of these attractions. A Flying Theater could even be themed to Cedar Point itself. Other parks could also use these. Kings Island could have a space-themed ride in Area 72, or Kings of Dominion could have a jungle-themed Flying Theater in the new Jungle Expedition area. There are a ton of possibilities with Vekoma flat rides, in addition to renovating some of the older coasters. But let's get into the focus of this video, the coasters. We'll go through each park and see what Vekoma coaster they can use. We'll save Kings Island for last. Just to be clear, these are what the parks could use from Vekoma. There are other options from other manufacturers that would work better. Starting off with the runt of the Cedar Fair chain, Michigan's Adventure. I think Michigan's Adventure could really use anything, but they could use another multi-looping coaster. Something along the lines of Let Coaster or Phoenix would be fantastic. However, I know that Michigan's Adventure is geared towards families more than anything. A family boomerang like Snoopy's Soapbox Racers would be great in the forested section by Thunderhawk. They could even have a connecting path from Shivering Timbers to Thunderhawk. This would also add a backward coaster to their lineup, and it would fit the family vibe of the park. Moving on to Dorney Park. Dorney Park just announced Iron Menace, so nothing will be coming in the near future, but they could use another launch coaster focused on airtime or intensity. Something like Abyssus at Energylandia with some good launches and a top hat for airtime would be nice. Even a smaller scale like Formula for the more positive-filled moments would be appreciated. For Worlds of Fun, I could see a Top Gun here. They have tons of room, and a Top Gun is different enough from everything else in their lineup. They only have two inverting coasters, one of which is a boomerang. A Top Gun would finally fill their launch coaster gap and would have some quicker airtime moments and inversions. These are also pretty short trains, so loading will be quicker for Worlds of Fun, a park that doesn't get that many crowds. Valley Fair is one of the easier predictions. For years, people wanted them to get a B&M invert. While that is still possible, another addition they could get is a Vekoma suspended thrill coaster. These are super smooth and fun inverted coasters that have a variety of different inversions and can be themed very well. Valley Fair also has a lot of room in the back half of the park by Renegade to place a new area and inverted coaster. California's Great America is not going to get any new coaster, unfortunately, But just like the other predictions, a launch coaster like a Top Gun or Firestorm would be fantastic. Knott's Berry Farm could use a family boomerang. Most of their coasters are family coasters, and they have no room for a big coaster. Placing a family boomerang in their kiddie section would be very nice for this park, especially if it's themed like Snoopy's Soapbox Racers. King's Dominion and Canada's Wonderland could both use the exact same coaster. They are both lacking in the launch coaster department, and a Firestorm, in my opinion, is the best Vekoma model. They could of course be custom layouts, but we aren't going to dive too deep into that. King's Dominion has the whole volcano plot they could use for a super nice launch coaster. Canada's Wonderland doesn't have as much room, but a custom layout could make something work. Carowinds and Cedar Point are tricky, as I don't really see either of them getting a ride like this. Carowinds just upgraded their Camp Snoopy, so maybe they could receive a family boomerang like Kings Island. Cedar Point, however, has too many guests for a family boomerang, and no real need for another launch coaster. The only thing I could see is a Bermuda Blitz over by Thunder Canyon or on Adventure Island, and even that is a stretch. The most likely option is a Vekoma indoor dark ride. Now let's talk about Kings Island. The reason most people expect a Vekoma for Kings Island's launch coaster is because of recent deals Cedar Fair has had. With Zamperla, Cedar Point and the company got Wild Mouse and a few new flat rides before the main Top Thrill 2 edition. The same could be true with Kings Island. They could have gotten a special deal where if they buy a launch coaster, they would get a family boomerang for cheaper. So in 2025, a new Vekoma coaster could be coming. Kings Island needs a launch coaster. The Firestorm looks like the best launch coaster by Vekoma, and if they get a cloned coaster, that would be the most likely. However, I expect a custom layout. With the terrain of this area, a custom layout is obvious. Having a launch on the highest part of the area into a top hat, and the drop diving down into the valley to gain even more speed would be fantastic. The top hat could even be shaped like the Firestorms. The ride could even have a Batwing to pay homage to Vortex. There are a lot of options with custom layouts, and it would look fantastic in the area. Also, the ride would have a ton of inversions, as Kings Island needs another inverting coaster. Maybe Vekoma could even implement a zero-G stall like some of the new-gen Intamins. The ride could even venture into the woods and do some rapid transitions by the trees, or have a double down into the canyon where Vortex originally sat. The possibilities are near endless. I'm super excited for Kings Island's next edition, even if it isn't a Vekoma. I really hope it's a launch coaster though. And let's be real, RMC Son of Beast is not going to happen. If it does, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But let me know what you think. Is a Vekoma launch coaster a good fit for Kings Island, and how are my other picks? A surf coaster may be more likely, but who knows? Comment below what you think of Cedar Fair and Vekoma, and make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Have a great rest of your day.